Good afternoon and welcome. Yes, to the wonderful show that you always tune to on Tuesdays to make it happen. Industry Focus it is. You can see right here on Business Day television. So good afternoon and welcome. Today, as usual, when we talk about industries, we try to make you understand that more of that you need comes your way, and we talk about how the GDP affects the whole economy. But that cannot be laid out without breaking down the industries that are responsible for it. So, both home and abroad, be it local or global, hence identify the promises and the problems of several industries, and of course highlight how the economic business values cut across. Are the GDPs aligning? We'll find out in a short while. Right here on Business Day television. Lives of Nigerians will be laid out to know how it does affect us. We'll find out. Those who are in the diaspora also will be here, I'm sure, listening and watching all this coming your way. So stay with us. We have 4 segments coming your way. 1, we'll throw in the quote of the day on mortgage. Secondly, we will throw in our great topic that our captain of the day is here to talk about. Talking about Mrs. Olajumoke Fashanu. She is the CEO of First Mortgage. There we're talking about roles of mortgage financing in home ownership in Nigeria. And then, coming after that, deal or no deal. We hear in November this year, the Nigerian government opened 1 trillion Naira Housing Fund to retail investors, aimed to cut mortgage costs. We'll find out from our guest if that's a deal or a no deal. And of course, retrospect will come your way. After that, we will let you know what's going to happen after that show. This is a minimum coming here. Let's take a quick break. I'll be right back. My name is Onyeka Valentine. This is Business Day television, right here on Industry Focus. Don't go away. Welcome back. Yes, our very first segment is the quote of the day. Most definitely, it says, owning a home is a keystone of wealth for both financial and affluence, and of course, emotional security. Again, it says owning a home is a keystone of wealth for both financial affluence and emotional security. Not my words, but rather words of Suze Orman. And most definitely, you can go on Google and find out other great quotes that can help you out there, those of you who are in real estate business and mortgage business. You never know. All right, let's jump straight up to our captain's segment, where we most definitely would outline the different ideas that you have to have. Yes, have to have. How about that? So that you can jump into this kind of business and make some money and grow the GDP. So let's look at our guests very quickly. Ms. Olajumoke Fashanu, FCA, FCPIN. She is the Vice President of Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI. She is also the council member for Certified Pension Institute of Nigeria. For over 20 decades, she has been deeply involved in mortgage and housing finance space. There's more. Now, her work has taken her through leadership roles, large financial operations, acquisitions, restructuring, and building of systems that help organizations run smoothly. She now serves as CEO of First Home Mortgage Brokers Limited, where she spends her days helping people understand the true path to home ownership. Ladies and gentlemen, watching back home, my guest is in the building. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the show.
Yes,
Welcome
thank you for having me.
I hope I was able to break down, clarity.
You did an excellent job.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I know it's your first time here on Business Day television. But again, it cannot be complete if we don't get to know, first and foremost, your journey so far in 1 minute and why you chose mortgage and real estate business.
Oh, thank you. home ownership is one of the fundamental, aside from being human right, it also plays a role other than just shelter. That's the platform that enables you to enhance your wealth.
Right.
Now, I saw a lot of people struggling, and I actually struggled as well. And I realized very early on that there's this peace of mind that owning your own home gives you. Meanwhile, if you own your first home, you don't have to live in it. So while I had several, at least my first home, we were still living as a tenant. And the landlord was just a very difficult man. You couldn't buy a generator, you couldn't on gen. He connected the water supply to pass through his house. He owns almost the houses in the close. So if he's angry with his wife, he will lock the water source. Yeah, but because I had my own home that had a tenant. So what home ownership does for you, if you're smart, provides you with a kind of confidence against any instability.
Right.
I had a house, my first house by mortgage. And the place was in Oniru Extension. A tenant was living and was paying 500,000 per annum. Where we were living in Ogba, we were paying 75,000 naira per annum. That's the kind of thing that mortgage does for you.
All right. Great to know. And now we have a level playing field now.
Yes.
We've understood why you chose mortgage and how you want to help other Nigerians. Hopefully at the end of the show, you're also going to help me to own my own home too. Who knows? All right. So our questions have been laid out by our viewers. When we tease this topic, they threw in their own ideas so that we can ask you. So our very first question, right, from our viewers, they say, and this is tied around the home ownership for people who want to kind of pick up one or two things that will enable them know where to put their money, when to put their money in. So the accessibility question now, right? It says, for average salaried Nigerian, the dream of ownership can feel totally out of reach. Now, from your point of view, your vantage point, what is the single biggest barrier when it comes to current mortgage system?
Okay. The first mistake is to keep underlining salaried people. Mortgage currently in Nigeria is available for every adult that has a steady source of income. So you don't have to, it does not have to be monthly, you don't have to have a formal employment.
Right.
So I would say that the biggest obstacle is the lack of information. People do not know. And people are so used to being naysayers.
Naysayers.
Yes. And the worst part of all these challenges is the fact that in a lot of Nigerians' mind, and that's why I started by saying I've taken mortgages before. A lot of people still prefer, there are people who you know, your friends, your families, that you've attended their housewarming. They give you impression that they carry the Ghana must go to buy the property. It's mortgage.
And it scare you who wants to get into it.
No, they want you to see them as moneyed people.
Oh, right.
You understand? So the biggest hindrance and limitation is the fact that there's still a stigma about taking a mortgage.
Speaking about stigma very quickly, there's that stigma also comes with some fear of, if I can't pay, the house taken away from me, and obviously if I have a collateral that I've used to get it, so hopefully today would break that fear so that people can actually say, okay, Mrs. Olajumoke, how can you help me get a home?
Okay.
All right, so let's jump to the next because of time.
Yes,
if you don't mind.
Yes.
So our viewers, they sent all these questions. So number 2 here, they say, and it's under affordability and product innovation. Says, high interest rates are a major concern. Beyond just lower rates, what innovative mortgage product, right, or finance model can make monthly repayment more manageable for Nigerians?
Okay. Now, number 1, you can't not cherry pick. We talk about high interest rate. Interest rates had always been various depending on the product. Now, that's number 1. Number 2 is the fact that when you tell yourself that And it's a truth. If you've been living and paying rent consistently for 5-6 years, you actually should be able to take a mortgage. There are a lot of innovative products. Take, for instance, before 2017, there was no subsector known as a mortgage brokerage subsector. That is new, and that is also to make mortgage more available and more accessible to the general public. So the products are always unveiling. I would say that where we need to work, which is something that we're now looking at, is to take cognizance of, we've resolved a lot of those that were not, that felt they were not financial inclusion, but those like the people in the entertainment industry, whose income is not like structured. So there are a lot of product development to be able to address and make them feel welcome, so that they too can also understand that they can actually access mortgage.
They can also access mortgage. Those of you watching back home, I told you that we have a powerhouse when it comes to real estate and, of course, mortgage and how it adds value to GDP. If I've kept my promise, just stay with us. Our next question, right? Again, obviously want to know. I'll probably cut it down because of time, right? This one here says, and it's about the future. It says future and policy question, which is very key. Looking ahead, what one policy change or collaboration between the government and private mortgage institution would obviously be more significant when it comes to transforming the housing landscape in Nigeria within the next 5 years? Looking at the future now.
Yes, if I answer that with that, first of all, acknowledging what the government has done, that would be very unfair. Now, the Minister of Finance is incorporated. Now, so they've created a government-backed pool of funds that has brought mortgage rates down now to 9.75%. That gives maximum of 100 million over maximum tenure, 20 years, depending on your age. So that is a good starting point. I now will say that the NMHC, the mortgage refinancing company that has been incorporated over a couple of years, has access to long-term funding as well to be able to refinance mortgages that's already booked by mortgage banks. I would say that what we need to do really on the part of so the responsibility does not lie just on the government, does not lie just on the stakeholders, but to the public. They should become more receptive so that the products that are available, I would say the depth, we are trying to create a depth and trying to widen the numbers and increase the numbers of people that would embrace mortgage.
That will embrace mortgage. Out of the whole general questions, I want to throw one in as you just follow up to what you just said, because you have it all when it comes to this experience over 20-something years, 2 decades plus. But the question now is, what do you think is the biggest challenge holding those who are professionals like you, holding you back from really helping people, get homes, become homeowners? What would you think is the major challenge?
I think our culture is a challenge. And what is that culture? The culture that relies more on verbal testimonies. There are a lot of people who, if someone has used an iPhone, you'll be proud to say, I use an iPhone, this is what it does for me. It convinces people.
Status.
Yes, people who have access mortgage, they don't talk.
Right.
They shy away. I've had a radio program and about 6 people promised to come with me to the studio. None picked their call.
Wow.
The 13 editions until I finished before they picked. So I would say that that culture that monetizes, they look at money as raw cash, whereas money is actually a tool. Mortgage is a tool. It provides a leverage. So when people are becoming more receptive, if you take a mortgage, I'm proud. I have nothing to be ashamed about. That I've taken mortgages before, I will take again. When you become that as well, hopefully people will learn that there's no stigma, there's nothing to be ashamed about that you're taking a mortgage.
No stigma, nothing to be ashamed of if you're taking a mortgage. After all, owning a home must come with so much pride.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, those watching back home, anywhere you are around the world, right here in Nigeria, or maybe outside the shores of the wonderful country that we have, Nigeria, or maybe Africa, or a different hemisphere, you're listening to, or rather hearing at the same time watching, right? And of course, you know that we have our guest in the building, Mrs. Olajumoke Fashanu, giving us all the tips that we need for those of you who really want to get into mortgage at the same time, jump to real estate. Don't be afraid to make that move. Take that great step. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we have deal or no deal, where our guest will at this point either shake my hand to say it was a good deal, or maybe the government did put a good deal on ground to support mortgage. Don't go away. This is Industry Focus. Welcome back. It's still Business Day Television right here on the show. It's Industry Focus. Onyeka, Valentine is my name. I've got my wonderful guest in the building, in our studio right here, Mrs. Olajumoke Fashanu. In case you don't know, she is the CEO of First Home Mortgage, right? Let me tell you, you can't miss it at all. All right, very quickly, deal or no deal, we hear the Nigerian government has opened 1 trillion Naira Housing Fund to retail investors, which aims to cut mortgage costs. It says the federal government of Nigeria, beg your pardon, in November 2025, which is this year, opened direct retail investor access to its 1 trillion Naira housing scheme, saying that the move will help more Nigerians buy homes and deepen mortgage market. The program, as the Ministry of Finance Real Estate Investment Fund, MREV, will list units on Nigeria's exchange so ordinary investors can buy and sell shares in the funding alongside institutional players. Officials say that the listing will help channel long-term private money into housing building and, of course, most definitely make mortgage cheaper long-term for buyers. There you have it. Deal or no deal? Let's ask our guest. Ms. Olajumoke,
Yes.
over to you. Do you think?
It is a brilliant deal.
Okay, so I shouldn't ask that question. That's a deal or no deal?
No, it's a deal. It's a deal.
It's a deal.
And the ripple effect is
Right.
going to be seriously very tangible and very obvious. There'll be job creation.
Right.
You can't talk about mortgage and not talk about insurance. You can't talk about mortgage and not talk valuers. You can't talk about mortgage and not gradually have a well-planned planned community.
Right.
Town planning, title to land, and of course, for each building that we've done the test before, a project that cost 200 million to build, the impact was over 10,000 people.
Wow.
You know, each person that earned 1 naira from it. So it just creates employment. And it drags more people into financial inclusion and ultimately will enhance the GDP. Not only that, the MREV is open to even Nigerians in the diaspora.
Those who are outside the shores,
Yes.
Nigerians living in different countries.
Yes, they can access MREV and become homeowners, and they've been doing it.
You seem to have a lot of idea about the MREV. Do you work
See,
with them?
I run a mortgage brokerage company.
Okay.
So what we do, we work for you.
Right.
We pre-qualify you.
Right.
We show you your affordability. And the MREV provides the funding through one of the partner banks.
Right.
We have there's a uniform underwriting standard in Nigeria now, and there's also a uniform underwriting standard for those in the diaspora.
Fantastic.
So we have a lot of diasporans that have been, And you can't, what that does, it just, number one is it makes the economy more fluid. It creates houses, brings stability amongst families.
Fantastic.
And that's the only way to grow generational wealth.
The only way to grow generational wealth.
Yes.
So at this point, I'll shake your hand.
Thank you.
You said good deal.
Good deal.
Back up there, you guys have seen it. Mrs. Olajumoke most definitely has said it's a deal. And if she didn't say it's a deal, who else could have said so? Right? Before we leave the studio, we have retrospect where we just educate people about what's going on with real estate and, of course, mortgage prior to now. Right? So let's quickly just jump into that. But before we go any further, at least you got those tips about the MREV. So get your papers and whatever you have to do, get them in place. And if you're looking for the right person to educate you, you already know. Our guest in the building, Mrs. Olajumoke, right? Fashanu. She's someone who runs, like I did tell you, first home mortgage brokers, of course, talking about housing, talking about everything that has to do with mortgage. She's the go-to person. She's not a small woman, as you can see. She's a big woman. All right. So let's quickly give you retrospect so you get to know what has been happening before real estate and mortgage became a powerhouse. All right. So let's jump into this. So very quickly, it says here, in case you don't know, for those of you who have been asking me questions online. So mortgage markets in Africa and Nigeria have historically struggled with a lack of long-term capital loan penetration and high interest rates, hindering home ownership for majority of the population. Nigeria's mortgage sector in particular has been limited by undercapitalization or capitalized mortgage institution, but with recent development, we hope a major turnaround will be recorded. Again, with recent development, like the recent development of this show, moving forward, we hope that, mortgage and housing, industry as real estate will begin to say, I hope they watch me to say, wait a minute. So if we had this kind of powerhouse explaining to us, that's you, about this thing, which means Nigeria has great hope, there is hope for Nigeria.
There is a great hope. And yes, particularly we encourage people to take their mortgage processes while they're young, because if you're 30 years, that means you can take a mortgage and pay over 30 years.
Right.
Yes, they're long tenor. And there's nothing tying you. There's always a more optimal level at which you can pay back. And don't forget that property, it's the capital appreciation. So your wealth is actually enhancing far beyond what your repayment is.
Wealth is far enhanced. Please school me again.
Okay. See, you take a mortgage. There's someone who took a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, to buy a property in Surulere. His repayment over the years will be telling the man to pay back. He said he doesn't want to pay back. His repayment is less than 20,000 naira. So meaning that 30 years ago, if it was 30,000 naira, what is the worth of that property today?
Right.
So in those days, things that used to make people afraid of taking mortgage is, what if I die? Now there's mortgage insurance.
Okay.
So if you die and you've taken a mortgage, insurance company pays.
Insurance company pays?
Yes. People are afraid that what if I'm unable to pay?
What happened to my children? Will they get the property?
No, of course, no, they're yours. I mean, the obligation that is remaining if you take a mortgage, and insurance companies have actually been paying. There are people who have taken mortgages and they don't get thrown out because the insurance company will pay the balance. So there shouldn't be any fear about that. What if you lose your job? Ideally, that's where affordability comes in. Okay. You've lost your job before. I have lost my job before. Did you end up on the street? Because you watch your rent compared to the income you were earning.
Right.
And worst case scenario, each mortgage you have equity. So if you took a mortgage, there's somebody that took a mortgage 3 years ago, their equity was 20%. The property was 60 million. Now the property is 180 million. So that your equity is still 20%. Instead of 20% of 60, is now 20% of 100.
And if they sell, which means money comes to you.
Thank you.
Ah, right.
Yes.
Right. I mean, we cannot exhaust this whole thing. I'm 100%, you see, I'm seated up, understanding, the details. They say what you don't know, you don't know.
Yes.
And I'm glad that you'll be able to, list out and highlight these areas and how it, gets to boost the economy. And most people who are afraid of taking mortgage will begin to rethink, should I go for mortgage now or should I not?
Do you know why they're afraid? A lot of us, we are religious, but we are very irresponsible with our faith.
Right.
do the part that you can do. Don't leave the part that you ought to do to God. Those who are not taking mortgages is because they think that God will do it tomorrow. What is your responsibility? God is not going to do it. You have to play your part.
To play your part. Ladies and gentlemen, watching back home, the time for us to leave the studio has come, but we will not leave the studio without probably having our guests give us a final word, and of course, the things you're working on. Let's start by telling us, let us know what are projects you're working on moving forward.
Yes, we're increasing our database,
okay,
and encouraging people to take the pre-qualification test,
right,
so that their affordability can be ascertained. What that does, assuming you're not even ready to take a mortgage, you take the pre-qualification test, you know if you are renting above your means. If you're renting above your affordability, your possibility of ever owning your own home is going to be very remote. So when you take the test, you'll be able to say, okay, if I take a mortgage at this point, my annual repayment will be 1 million naira in a year, and I'm renting for 4 million naira. So you'll be able to take smart and informed decisions. And I will also want to encourage those people who have taken mortgages. We need you to help the economy. Don't give anybody money, but come out and acknowledge that I used mortgage, so that people can trust that yes, it works. But because definitely it is working.
Definitely it is working. Time for us to leave the studio. Like I said, thank you so much for joining us in the studio. Hopefully we'll call you another time when we need to break down more insight about real estate and of course mortgage. Miss Olajumoke Fashanu, you guys have heard her 100%. Are you on social media?
Yes.
Okay, that's our camera over there. Let them know what you're expecting, and social media page.
Yes, please follow me at Niger Mortgages on IG and Ruby Diamond on TikTok.
All right, there you have it. Niger Diamonds and Ruby.
Niger Mortgages
and Ruby
Diamond.
Kind of sound like Niger Diamonds. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been wonderful. Most definitely we'll do a part 2 of this when the time comes. When you think that industries in Nigeria don't work, well, think again. We give you reason to believe and trust and still have hope in Nigeria. Industries do work. We talk about them. You have challenges, bring them on the table. We will bring solutions on ground. Nigeria will last far longer than you ever anticipate. For the long haul, we are. Industries, you come to us. Answers, we give to you. Until next Tuesday, this is still BDTV, Business Day Television. And my name, Onyeka Valentine.